All right, this is the week where I feel like fantasy football gets real. Playoff pictures begin taking form. You kind of look at other teams, you're like, I want them to lose now. I want them to win now. This is really the beginning of the stretch. And I think it's the best part of fantasy. So now it's time to get a little bit more intense. And we saw a lot of very consequential games happen in your league this week. So we're going to start with, I believe, Untouchables is the best place to start. I believe. Although, yeah, because I think given the done chain, I think we have to. So Untouchables got done chained, and the question was, how are they going to respond? I mean, is this a team that has the firepower? Is Captain Corrupt someone who could say, "Fuck you, Rick. I'm gonna win"? And when I say "fuck you, Rick," I mean me, and I mean Electric, because it was a tough battle, but Electric did get the win. And that's just what happens when you have Jalen Hurts. He's having a massive season, and his 35 points was 31 points above Kyler Murray. And that was obviously the difference in a 9-point margin that took place at the end of this game. Because outside of Mixon and Jalen Hurts, I mean, the rest of this team didn't do that much, really at all. Untouchables, the rest of his team was actually stronger. So the question becomes, what does Untouchables do moving forward? And the answer is, I think they're going to win some games, but I think it's just too late. Because Chase Brown now is the guy. Zach Moss is going to miss the rest of the season. J.K. Dobbins sneakily doing very well. And obviously, Kyron's been an RB1 this whole time. Pollard should never be on your bench. I don't know why he is. And you're looking at an Untouchables team that could really ruin some team seasons, but their season, unfortunately, still over. I'm done chaining the team at this moment. I already done chained them, but I'm reaffirming the done chain. Okay, then we go to another team that we've been talking about a lot in Dust in the Wind. Dust in the Wind, I said, I think he's going to regret the trades after the season. I think, yeah, it'll be a playoff team given the record and given the strength, but I believe it's one and done. And that's just what it's looking like right now because the team falls to 5-4 after a loss to El Granos, 173-133. I see both these teams, and I've always said I think El Granos is legit. Dust in the Wind, I think less so. Although Dust in the Wind didn't have a horrible week, 133 is totally fine. You know, McLaurin's still performing pretty well. 2 catches, 19 yards, not so much, but he got 2 touchdowns, so what can you really say about that? Hubbard's having an impressive season. Baker Mayfield, without having any weapons, is doing great. Reed, these are a lot of sneaky good guys. Kate Otten, a lot of sneaky good guys, but at the end of the day, you need legit, really good guys. And unfortunately, I just don't know if Dust in the Wind has that power. I actually think, though, that Otten, as a tight end, carries some very significant pull at this point because without any wide receiver targets, it seems like he's the guy. And you now, with Kittle, have 2 potential guys. So I wonder, is this a good opportunity to make a trade? And that's also a good opportunity for us to talk about this team because this team did make a trade on November 3rd, and it was to get Kate Otten and Xavier Worthy for DK Metcalf. I'm left thinking with Dust in the Wind, like, is this another mistake? Kate Otten's fantastic, but you have Kittle. So if I'm thinking, okay, now you have 2 tight ends, you want to trade for an asset, a guy like DK Metcalf, that's exactly who I'd be like, wow, that's best case who you could trade for. I'm not a Worthy believer. Obviously, he almost had a big play last game, but it's clearly D-Hop's team. In a 10-team league, I don't see Worthy being such a great guy to start. So I think it's another trade that Dust in the Wind's going to regret, and I think it's a great trade for El Professor. So I think you flip, in my opinion, I know you just traded for him, I think you flip him. If I'm you, one of these tight ends, even though I know they're doing well, and it's like you're probably feeling like I won that trade. I just, in the long-term vision, I just don't see why you needed another tight end. So we will see. We'll see how that goes. But El Granos does get a big win, and I think you just see so much power with this team. Bijan and Gibbs, I mean, so good. You had D-Hop to a wide receiver group that already had Cooper Kupp. Super strong. Obviously, JT as well in that running back group I missed. It's just a really good team. It's just a really good team that El Granos is a total contender at this point. A total contender. I should do an updated power rankings, by the way. Okay. We went with Jared with a gigantic win, 180-130. I mean, to go to 4-5 and to tie with Bandito is just, you needed it. No way around it. And it's as if you got everyone amped up. Everyone performed. 20-plus points from literally basically every single person. Actually, very impressive. The only guy that really fell short was Puka Nacua, who got ejected, obviously, and that's not a concern moving forward. And this was without B-Rob as well. So, I mean, we went with Jared. I think you ultimately have I said squeeze into the playoffs. Once you get Puka back, you're going to make a run. I mean, that's kind of what's happening, even though that's not why it happened. So I'm curious if we went with Jared can make a run here. I think yes. Banditos on the flip side gets a tough loss. I do like this team. I've said I like this team before, although maybe a trade for a wide receiver would make sense. At this moment, I think you're very deep, which is great news for you. But the question is, like, Olave's now hurt. He's probably going to be done. If he plays, I mean, it's scary to have to play him. So who fills in? Sutton had a big game. Is he a guy you're going to trust every week? Nick Chubb was on your bench. Najee Harris is going to come back from a bye. Tillman is looking very good. I'm curious what you do as a manager because you are pretty deep at this point, and I think you could definitely win some games. I don't know though if you're the scariest team in the league, although I do believe you could potentially make a run. Okay. So Chef Cesario is the team that I believe in still. And a win to go to 6-3, obviously gigantic over El Professor. El Professor obviously makes that move for DK Metcalf. It doesn't help him this week just yet. It's a good move because especially after losing Jordan Mason with CMC likely coming back, the question is like, do you have enough depth? I think with this move, you finally can say like, I think you do. CD on top of that gets banged up, and that could be a huge fill-in for you. So I think ultimately this is a team that is good, not great. El Professor, I think 4-5, you could definitely squeeze into the playoffs. I'm just not a believer in the long term for this team. At all. So that's basically all I have to say about that team. Chef Cesario, I'm totally a believer. Dak gets hurt. You'll just plug Purdy in. Debo's going to come back in. I think any of your weak spots this week, 156, great week by the way, but Saquon just did a lot of it. And you lose AJ Brown. I think any of those gaps now with AJ Brown, you could at least fill in Debo. And then the question is like, who's your wide receiver 3? Because I don't trust Elijah Moore, and that is the question you have to face moving forward. Because I actually don't know the answer. Do you start Juwan Jennings as well? I don't love it, but we'll see. I still like this team a lot. Obviously, A.J. Brown, if he misses time, which he's not supposed to miss a lot of, I'm just talking about next week, if he's out. He actually, I saw that I don't know if he's even going to, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see, actually. What's the latest? A.J. Brown. Yeah, I don't know. We all know he avoided something serious. I don't know if he's going to miss a week or not. Anyway, at 6-3, it's not as imperative that you get him back next week anyway. And I think this team's still legit. So with A.J. Brown, very good team. Crucifier. We talked about this team saying this is a team that was thin on running back earlier this season, but Kareem Hunt really solved that need at 26 points again this week. Obviously, super, super strong. DeAndre Swift's exceeding expectations as well. And Mostert's starting to even play pretty well as well. You're going to get Pickens back from a bye, and then your wide receiver group becomes too deep. Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Downs playing incredible football, and I think he's only going to get better throughout the season. So Crucifier also becomes another contender. Like, if I had to do power rankings right now, it's going to be very complicated. But either way, Crucifier obviously at 4-5, gigantic win. Pain Train also going down to 4-5, meaning we have a lot of 4-5 teams. And this is another team that's pretty solid. I mean, the running back group of Derrick Henry, Dowdle, I'll take it any day of the week. And obviously, your wide receiver group is super deep. Once T. Higgins is healthy, and maybe Juju's even healthy, he could be pretty good. But you already have Tank Dell, who's operating fantastically without Diggs for the season and Nico for a little bit longer. Neighbors, who's a little bit below expectations, but doing still very well. And Tyreek Hill, who's only going to be getting better with Tua back. So Pain Train, I think, is one of the better teams in the league, too. So we have a lot of very solid teams in this league, and they're all at 4-5, apparently. I think there's one more matchup that we didn't talk. Oh, is that it? That was it. Oh, yeah, it's a 10-team league. Oh, no, I was not done talking. I wanted to keep talking about this league. Anyway, so I think, yeah, outside of Untouchables, everyone's alive. I think everyone who was, like, really needed to win basically got it this week. So very curious to see what happens next week. But the stretch will be fun to watch. So I will see you all next week. Good luck.